Hello and welcome to Blue Army TV. I'm sitting up for Carlisle. I've drawn 0-0 at home to Walsall in what was a pretty nothing game from both teams, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Carlisle maybe edged it in terms of, who was the better team. You want to talk about possession and stuff like that. I haven't seen the official stats, but I'm going to guess that Carlisle was slightly on top. If not, that's certainly what it looked like to my extremely biased eyes. But yeah, there isn't really much to talk about. Both teams played really well defensively. Walsall were often on the back foot, and yet their keeper didn't really have much to do. They played really well in the defensive third. They've got some brilliant centre backs, Walsall, and I think that's been the key to the success recently. It's just, if you don't concede, you can't lose. Because they didn't trouble us at all going forward, really. I don't think Thomas Whalley made a save all game. Because he just didn't have to. We had a couple of chances from set pieces, but that was about it. There's the two sides cancel each other out. They're two very good sides. Paul Simpson was very complimentary of Walsall before the game, because their manager's just won manager of the month. They're one of the informed teams in the league right now. But if you're serious about going up this season, and we've just slipped out of the playoffs thanks to this result, you want to be winning most of your home games, and we've came away with just a point today. I thought there was a few instances where we could have taken the lead. There was obviously a header from a corner. Ryan Edmondson was, I think, centimetres away from heading in from a corner as well at one point. Some decent free kick chances as well, but overall, it just wasn't as good as we could have played. And yeah, we did everything well, right, defensively. It's as if I wish we could have the attack from last week, but the defence from this week, or even the defence from Tuesday even, and the attack from today. Because we sharpened up at the back, but we just couldn't break them down. And I think Walsall are a very difficult team to break down. They're just a really big team as well. You look at their keeper; he's one of the smallest. One of their players on the pitch, their two centre-backs are massive. Their number 2 is an absolute giant. But look, we didn't play particularly well going forward, and there's nothing really much more you can say to that. There wasn't any really big key chances. The referee had a few bad decisions, but this is League 2, what do you expect with that? I heard recently that Paul Simpson, or the club, got a letter from the EFL about the decisions in the Leyton Orient game, apologising for them. But at the end of the day, that means nothing, does it? A letter of acknowledgement means absolutely nothing when you've come away from that point with that game with no points. They can't give us the points. I don't expect them to give us the points, because that's just, that wouldn't happen. It's an insanity. You can't do that. But the real apology would be to really put some money into the refereeing in this country. I'm not sure how you'd do it, whether you'd pay off refs from other countries to come here or do something, but they are poor, and they have been poor again today. There was a blatant free kick when Jack Armour was running through on goal that probably should have been a red. There was a number of penalty shouts for us, none of them were given, and it just seemed to feel like any free kick given was given as a Walsall free kick. We got pretty much nothing, and they got pretty much everything they dived for, and a lot of them were dives. You could see they were dives. Another thing that wound me up today was just foul throws. The fans get wound up when referees blow for telling players to move a few steps back, but just for both teams, I'll say, not taking the throw-ins from where the ball went out. It's just simple stuff that the referee should be dealing with that he just isn't dealing with. And I've seen it far too much this season. There's a few offsides that probably should have been given, a few offsides that probably shouldn't have been given. They just seem to get lots of things wrong. Today it looked like they were biased in terms of Walsall, but I understand completely that won't have been the case in every single game Walsall have played this season, because I don't think it is a matter of referees are biased against Carlisle. I think they are just genuinely incompetent in what they do. That's how it comes across. But at the end of the day, the referees aren't why we lost today, why we didn't get all 3 points today. It was because Walsall defended really well, and we couldn't break them down, and they couldn't break us down. It was it was a good and true stalemate today. in every sense of the word. It was a stalemate. Neither team could break the other one down, and that's exactly what it was, a stalemate. You look back and, come the end of the season, Walsall are probably going to be up there, like Paul Simpson said in his interview. But you look back and maybe think this is a good point. But today it doesn't feel like that. It feels like maybe, I don't want to say 2 points dropped because we were never in a position to win the game. But Walsall didn't really threaten us, and you thought at times we could have put more into it. There was a few chances. Jordan Gibson frustrated me a lot today. He tries to do too much. We're a great pass and move forward, and Jordan Gibson decides to pass with the outside of his foot to a player that isn't making the run that he probably should have been. And there's a much easier pass on that he should be making, but he tries to do something fancy and tries to make it more complicated than he has to. And as a result, they get on the counter. He frustrates me a lot, Jordan Gibson, but then he goes and does something absolutely brilliant by putting an amazing long ball through to the other side of the pitch. He switches play really well. But Jordan Gibson just needs to be a bit more consistent with what he does, because there are times like today where he's really frustrating, and there are times when he's really, really good. And he had little moments of brilliance today, but overall I just thought he tries to overcomplicate things too much, and you can't really have that. But then at the same time, when you've got a team defending as a low block, maybe that little bit of creativity is what you need. I don't know, but they were just my thoughts anyways. Ryan Edmondson, I think, played well. He didn't score, but he did a lot. Taylor Charters in the midfield, I think he played really well. He just wins a lot of headers that you just wouldn't expect him to win. He seems to win every single header going forward. And as a sort of attacking midfield player, as what he's been playing, that's really helpful, winning headers. And, up against a really tall team today, he did really well. Owen Moxon, that probably wasn't his best game, but I'll let him off because he wasn't particularly poor. He definitely wasn't one of our worst players. He didn't have that sort of, that spark that he usually has, that brilliant pass. It didn't come off as often as he has done in previous games. He didn't play really bad, but I think in this case he's a victim of his own success, where he didn't play bad today, but because of his brilliant performances earlier on in the season, I expect more from him, and I think that's what's happened with Owen Moxon today. The back three were fine. Jack Armour put in some good crosses. He was fine. And then you've got to say the one player that I was really not happy with today was Finn Back. I always get them confused. And it's frustrating because he didn't have a particularly good game at Harrogate on Tuesday, Finn Back. And you just think you've got Jack Ellis on the bench, a player, similar enough for me to get their names mixed up all the time anyways, but similar players in how they play the game, except Jack Ellis is, he's Cumbrian. He's going to be here next season, hopefully. He's not on loan like Finn Back is. And as much as Finn Back's played really well this season, if he isn't playing well in these last couple of games, and you've got a really good backup that's just waiting to get into the team, and every time he has been in the team he's done absolutely nothing wrong, then I don't see why he should start next game. I think drop him for a game, put him on the bench, put Jack Ellis in that game and see how much better he is, and then evaluate who holds that position going forward, because I think there is going to be a lot of rotation between the two this season, and I think it should happen next week with the way Finn Back's been playing. Some of his passing was off. He gets caught out of possession a bit. I remember there was one time he runs out of position, really gets sucked into the midfield when he doesn't have to be, and that causes us some problems. Some of his tackling wasn't great. He didn't stop the cross as much as he has done earlier on in the season. It wasn't his game today. But, look, it was a really, really good defensive display on the whole. Just not a really good attacking display. And it's not a result that I'm massively concerned about, because we're playing a really good team and we've kept a clean sheet and we're probably the better team. So I'm going to say it's a good point for us. They'll think it's a good point as well. I feel like Walsall will come away from that game thinking we're away to a really good team. We've kept a clean sheet against a free scoring Carlisle side. I can only remember one other game this season where we failed to score, and I think that was a 0-0 as well. Oh no, and of course there's Stockport County. I keep forgetting about that one. But we score pretty much every game, even if we do lose, which doesn't happen often either. So I think Walsall will be happy with a point coming out of this. What do you think? Because I can't decide whether this is a really good point or 2 dropped. So I'll let you decide that in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and in a bit.